The Tigers are back at the U this week. The Tiger Lacrosse Report starts now.
For an athlete, there's nothing scarier than a torn ACL.
Athletes trust us with their care and their careers because we're a recognized leader in sports medicine.
Get back to your active life sooner with MedStar Sports Medicine.
Wise Market's ice cream plant is based in Sunbury, Pennsylvania, and is locally owned and operated. We've been making our ice cream for nearly 50 years. We create roughly 70 flavors of ice cream right now. We use local ingredients, especially our cream, which is from our milk plant. The cream is what gives our ice cream a rich and creamy texture. Now, together with our customers, we've created a product called Peanut Butter Indulgence, which will be coming out this summer. It's a peanut butter ice cream with sea salt caramel swirl, chocolate-covered pretzel. How can you go wrong with that? Personally, I love our ice cream. If you come to our house at any given time, you'll find at least 5 packets of ice cream in our freezer. Our kids grew up eating Wise quality ice cream, and now we get to treat our grandchildren to it. It's been a pleasure for me to be tasting ice cream for over 40 years for Wise Markets, and I'm loving every minute of it.
Welcome, fans, to another edition of the Tiger Lacrosse Report. I'm your host, Spiro Morekas, along with the head coach of the Tigers, Shawn Nadelen. And, Coach, this Saturday, the Delaware Blue Hens come to Johnny Unitas Stadium, and I think it's safe to say that they are the surprise team of the CAA so far.
You could say that, knowing their talent that they have. Obviously Coach Shillinglaw retiring and bringing in a real quality coach like Ben DeLuca, they'd still be competitive. And, the CAA lacrosse-wise right now is a battle, which everybody knows. UMass is kind of pulled away, thanks to a poor effort by us in the second half in that game. But Delaware's good, and they've taken advantage of their opportunities, and they earned a really tough win against Hofstra on the road this past weekend.
It's kind of odd, you've got UMass is at 3-0, Delaware's at 2-1, then everybody else at 1-2. So you've got 4 teams that really are Delaware, 5 teams that are really battling to make sure they make the tournament.
Absolutely. There's no huge separation between the top 2 to 3 teams and the bottom 2 to 3 teams. So it's ultra competitive. These games are becoming obviously that much more crucial as we near the back end of the conference schedule.
You look at Delaware and you look at the team stats. 2 things jumped out at me right away. One, they have not taken advantage of their man-up opportunities. They're only scoring on 18%. And they're also losing more than 50% of their face-offs. How have they been able to be successful with those 2 stats that don't look good?
They're efficient offensively. They've been able to score some goals, on lesser possessions, than some other teams. Goalie-wise, he's playing really well. He's a big kid, does a good job. Defensively, I think they're playing a little bit more sound than what they have in the past. So I think they're playing a little bit better systematic stuff than what we've seen. And they're a little bit more experienced down there, a little bit more of a veteran group. So I think they're just a little bit more efficient at both ends of the field to make up for the lack of face-off wins and some inefficiency on the man-up.
For your team, it's been odd. You score 3 goals against Hofstra, you break out and score 17 against Drexel, and then last week against UMass, just 4. How do you try to get that consistency week to week with your offensive unit?
Well, that's the challenge, consistency. Understanding what allowed us to be successful against a team like Drexel, who's good, I don't think their goalie had their best day, but we still had to get shots on cage and get it past them, which we did. We prepared really well that week. And just thinking about it offensively, since we're talking about scoring goals, I thought it was a really strong week of practice. The guys put in and invested time outside of practice with shooting on their own to make sure that they were really dialed in, getting some film reports and things like that. Coach Gallardi did a great job of talking to those guys in film after the UMass game, and then being upfront with them and asking them, if they committed to that process, and that understanding what allowed them to achieve that success against Drexel. And pretty much to a man, they all said that they didn't stay consistent in that process and didn't understand that what they did probably helped them be in possession to be successful against Drexel. Following that game, we didn't stick around and shoot more. We didn't dial into our film work as much as we needed to. So again, we didn't handle the success well, and that's something that we're communicating to those guys to make sure they do a much better job of.
Do you think that's a part because maybe you really don't have anybody on the offensive side that has played extensive minutes coming into this season, that everybody is new at this?
Right. I think it is a bit of a lack of experience. But again, it wasn't that it wasn't communicated to them. It wasn't that it wasn't, we're only allowed to work with them so many hours during the week.
Right.
We can't,
Right.
hold their head to the fire. We encourage it, and then obviously, it comes down to them and then the leaders on our team to make sure that these things are happening and understanding the why. That's, I think, our struggle right now, being a younger team, is understanding how and why, success is an opportunity that presents itself. Being able to put the preparation in, and being able to understand that if you're in a slump or you're not consistent, you got to be able to, just like a basketball player or a golfer or Major League Baseball hitter, you got to hit yourself or shoot yourself out of a slump. You just got to keep working at it. You got to prepare that much better, that much harder. And the youth, I think, and our lack of desire, put us in position not to do that last week.
Well, you guys have shown you can play with any team in the country. There's no question about that. So still a lot of lacrosse to go as we move forward.
Absolutely.
So the Tigers will take on the Blue Hens this Saturday at 12 o'clock. Hunter Lochte and I will have a call for you on TowsonTigers.com starting at 11:45 with the pregame shows. So for the head coach of the Tigers, Shawn Nadelen, I'm Spiro Morekas. Thanks for tuning in to another edition of the Tiger Lacrosse Report. And as always, go Tigers.